I wanted to understand how people are actually finding out about new brands today, especially as AI becomes a bigger part of the customer journey in new ways. So I spoke to 10 shoppers about how they're discovering new products, what they trust, what they research, and how AI tools like ChatGPT or Perplexity are fitting into that process, or how aren't they? And in this video, I'm going to walk you through what I found, where I see trust is breaking, and the 3 things that brands need to do right now to stay visible in an AI first market. So this initiative to really research in public what's going on with AI in the shopper journey started when I noticed that a lot of the brands talking about AI visibility had the most to gain financially from marketers running out and panic buying their solutions. And there seemed to be a lack of real truth and honest perspective as far as how AI was shaping the customer journey without the hype, without the panic buying. And so I wanted to step into that role and present some research on how this is helping or harming the customer journey in a way that was completely unsponsored. I'm paying for this out of pocket, and presenting you with an independent and honest perspective on how this is shaping customer behavior. Because, like I said, a lot of the noise that's out there is coming from people who have the most to gain, and I don't think that's the way it should be. So I started by asking you all, people on this platform and over on LinkedIn, what questions you wanted to have answered. And there was a group of 3 questions that came out. So customer perceptions and motivations. What are people thinking about these tools and how it might play into how they discover new brands, as well as how are marketing leaders preparing for that, for this transition. And then the third area of questions was around shopping behaviors. How are people navigating these tools and integrating it into their shopping behavior? So the first phase of this research was the knowledge audit. And so I've already published what I found from that. If you want the Cliff Notes version of that, just drop me a note in the comments and I will send that over to you. You can have it. What I found, and as far as existing knowledge on how AI is shaping the customer journey from awareness all the way to advocacy, and some specific use cases on where it's working well and where it's not working well. Then phase 2 is what we're here to talk about now, and that is the qualitative discovery phase. So we did 5 interviews for people who were open to shopping with AI and had shopped with AI previously, and 5 interviews with people who either weren't open to it at all or just hadn't tried it before. So the goal was really to understand in this phase, how are people interacting with AI to shop? What do they like about it? What they not like about it? And how is it shaping the brands that they choose to purchase? So the first finding was that brand discovery, getting to know a new brand and considering whether you would buy it or not, really is a trust exercise, whether AI is part of the picture or not. And out of the 10 people that I interviewed, I found that word of mouth, finding referrals from your friends or family, is still the number one way that people are coming to get to know new brands.
So that was a suggestion from a friend that, we've been upgrading our bedroom and things like that. So they said that we bought a comforter from there, and they said that it was like the best thing that they've ever experienced. So looked into it, looked at the reviews, and then ended up purchasing one.
I'm curious, how did you find out about those? Walk me through where you first learned about them.
Well, it was my husband because he's doing a lot of that shopping, but it comes up in Google searches. So he's made me aware. And then sometimes I've gone to the websites for some of those brands to look myself.
Walk me through how you came to learn about that.
From a person, we're taking her to feeding therapy. And so the therapist that we're working with said, we have cups from my older daughter that I'm trying to give her, but they're not working. So she said one that's really good is called Honey Bear. And it's like, it lets you squeeze it so the water comes out and it kind of helps promote like the oral motions and stuff.
And so that was a clear signal that it is still the primary way to get your brand fast tracked through the discovery pathway. Another thing that really came to mind was that there is now an ecosystem of discovery. It's not so much that people first find out about a brand on social media, then they go to the website, then they put it in their shopping cart. It's not linear like that at all. Probably hasn't been for a while. But this research really showed that discovering of a new brand might start with word of mouth, hearing it from a friend, then going to their website. And then because you've gone to the website, now you see it on social.
I feel like finding new brands usually comes from social media, especially Instagram. You know, I'm there for family and friends. I'm there for like investing. I'm a big UFC fan. I say like this because I'm not looking for these things. And there's been occasional products that relate to me. You know, either it's personal care, either it's clothing. So I feel like social media is a big benefit, pioneer, benefactor of finding these brands that I may not have known. So I would say Instagram would be number one, even TikTok in the past, but that's usually where I will find out about new brands.
I feel like it's like less word of mouth than it is like ads. I feel like ads are the most prominent.
I don't really focus too much on the brands, but I have been like seeing different things that I like on TikTok though. TikTok is something that's like inching its way into my life. And one of my friends was like, girl, you need to try TikTok. I was like, what? I did make one purchase from there, but I haven't made enough to have too much to say about it. But there are a few things in my card and that's saved that I do want to order when I'm able to afford to pay for it. Yeah.
And so all of those channels and avenues of discovery really reinforce each other to become an ecosystem to new brand discovery. The second finding is that AI is starting to enter the shopping journey, but not the same way for everyone. So about half of the people that I interviewed were all in with using AI to help them research, to compare different prices, to compare pros and cons. And those people tended to be very analytical driven, and they were most likely going to do those type of comparisons online anyway. And so using AI tool, whether it's ChatGPT or Perplexity, was a natural extension of a behavior they already had.
Is there ever a time where you would feel comfortable completing the purchase within the AI app?
Oh, definitely, all the time. Depending on the product, it could be something even more simple, like I was talking about before, groceries, just kind of depending on if I'm trying to find a good price or, seeing what the reviews are for certain things.
Has there ever been a time when you were shopping with AI that you ever felt uncomfortable? And if it's no, then say no.
Oh, no, I've never felt uncomfortable shopping with AI.
Then there was another group that did not use AI because they were more interested in speed of picking something up in the store on their way home, or the convenience of stopping again on their way home or on their existing day-to-day life versus stopping and consulting AI first. So they were shoppers more driven towards convenience, speed, and impulse buying. And they didn't really see how AI fit into that picture as much.
If it is grocery related, or like I go to Wegmans, so if it's something from Wegmans or something from BJ's, it's in person. If it is something that is from somewhere, let's say like Target or Ulta, where I could go in person, it depends on my schedule. So maybe I'll go online, and if it's something that can be shipped to me within like a day or two, great, maybe I'll buy it that way. Otherwise, sometimes I'll go in person if it's going to be faster and if I have the time in between calls or meetings or something like that.
So the third finding that was really eye-opening for me was that not all platforms are the same. So we compared ChatGPT experience versus Perplexity shopping experience, and there are different points where one tool feels most helpful and another tool reduces friction. So for ChatGPT, it was most helpful when it provided comparison tables and people could quickly see how one brand compared to the other, and also gave trade-off summaries of maybe this one is lower in price but has less features, and this one may be more premium but you get more for that value. Those sort of trade-off analysis that was provided there.
Yes, I do like this comparison table because, again, it's talking about different price points and how effective they are.
They also really enjoyed seeing the sources cited in those tables, as well as guided ways to refine their questions or their search.
So comparison table. Got it. Okay. So yeah, I like this aspect of it. This is something that you don't get normally on regular sites. So I would see why they're comparing these to each other. So comparing today's most popular.
I think mostly the biggest thing that was helpful was that it created a chart with the similarities and differences between all the things. So that was really nice to see at a glance what I was looking at.
I do like when you scroll down to where you're at now, that it kind of shows you more of what's coming out, as far as releases. And then I do appreciate the wording underneath. They're telling you what these are going to cost, and then when they're coming out, and then the availability.
Perplexity, on the other hand, was really most helpful when it gave short, concise summaries, offering quick comparisons of different brands.
That's probably way easier than ChatGPT taking minutes, making you walk through a lot, and then giving so much information. And with shopping, you want to do it kind of fast, not fast in a way where you are reckless, but when you're doing your research, you don't want to spend so much time thinking about something that you want to buy, if that makes sense. Putting so much time and effort into buying something or reading about something if you don't really have to,
And then also they really enjoyed that Perplexity offered immediate results without the additional extra steps. So ChatGPT might want to investigate whether or not they need to have all of those feedbacks from the customers in the shopping experience, because a lot of people were turned off by how many times they had to say, yes, I'm interested in this, or no, I'm interested in this. Could you just give me the list of brands? Somewhat similar to how Google does it. Seemed to be the underlying comparison.
I think they keep putting these prompts and then I'm like, oh, I thought that's what I was already doing, right?
Yeah, I can see that. So this popped up. Where would you go next?
I mean, I guess I'd click on get started because it's not really giving us any other options, but I think their UI is stupid, just literally stupid. You typed in a prompt, this is against user expectation, right? You expect a response, not a, what is this?
Fair, completely fair.
All right. Be sure to subscribe if you want to keep a front row seat to the next phase of research. So now that we have a taste for how AI is shaping the customer journey, it's time to quantify and really measure just how many people are making these changes so that brands know how to prioritize their response. Subscribe now. All right. So our fourth finding was that AI really loses trust fast when the experience feels clunky, slow, and somewhat even biased.
There have been instances where I've gone on, let's say ChatGPT, and I've prompted it with something and it's given me false information, very much, I know the answer is not that. And I tell it that's not right. And it's you're right. Here's the right answer. I'm why didn't you give it to me to start? So that's where I think they have to be very careful, and the trust needs to be there in order for people like me to use it for some of these physical, here, take my money and buy this stuff on my behalf and be my assistant. If the trust is not there, they will not be used.
I don't know if it takes this long in general, which I doubt, but yeah, if it did take this long in reality, that would be a little tough, because I'd probably be all right, let me move on.
So at this point, would you be walking away from the computer or going to a different screen or something different?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess cat trees are more complicated. I don't remember ChatGPT being this laggy, or not laggy, but thinking,
So a lot of people were turned off when they had to give so many rating and feedback loops using ChatGPT.
So as a consumer, what would you do at this point?
I'd close the window.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd literally just be fuck this. This is too obnoxious. I feel like I'm going to spend my entire time with this interaction trying to train it. And that's free labor on my part. Why am I giving them free labor? They have more money than God. They're money needs are half the reason it's hard for me to find a new job right now. So like what, I'm going to give them my labor on top of it?
So that was definitely a turnoff for that platform. And where Perplexity added frustration or friction to the purchase journey was that it didn't have a lot of visuals.
I also noticed that the Perplexity one didn't have any images here,
Oh yeah.
but the ChatGPT one did when it wanted to cooperate.
Yes. Pictures
which
would be
one?
better.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, because based on the pictures, I can see which one I would want or see, like, fit your house, your decorations and all that to blend in a little bit better.
Oh yeah, I should have mentioned for the other one that it didn't have pictures. I didn't like that. I don't know why I didn't say that, but I feel like for this kind of things or any shopping results, they should have images. Yeah, it's just, I mean, you are shopping for products, so I think they should include pictures of products.
Also, Perplexity was missing some of the price comparisons that ChatGPT brought front and center. And they felt like sometimes Perplexity was over explaining instead of just showing the branded products they could buy.
Was there anything that was missing that you were looking for and didn't see with the Perplexity?
The pricing.
Okay.
Now, if you clicked on one of them, I wonder if it would take you, but I don't think it does. Maybe the twin, like, is that a conditioner? And
I can't tell.
you can't tell, right? It's too small.
I think I would be like, oh, I don't need it to tell me what a ring is. Like, obviously, I know what that is. And if I'm assuming like this whole model is like for the purpose of shopping, I'd be like, I don't know why you're telling me what it is. I feel like I would be kind of annoyed that it didn't just give me like suggestions right off the bat and it's like asking for more details.
So what do you think about the two between ChatGPT or Perplexity so far?
Yeah, the Perplexity doesn't really give you this experience with the bit of trivia, and then, the ChatGPT is showing you images as well. Like, I feel like the Perplexity was a little more basic in its search results there, and this ChatGPT just seems to be a little bit more entertaining.
Okay, so I also want to take a moment and say we need to really think about what this means for brands in an AI first marketplace. There is a shift happening in shopper behavior that calls brands to rethink their strategy, especially for discovery. So product pages need to do more than convince a human shopper. You need to now convince their agent. And their agent speaks a slightly different language than you or I may speak. So brands need to adapt their product pages for that structure and the way that AI agents read information so that it can be served up in these tools. Also, a big thing to watch out for is those product detail pages need to be crystal clear and structured, like I said, so that the information can be read by the AI tool and the human. Have visible pricing and logistics. Another thing that I noticed was when there's some sort of certification or award given to a product, if you have that in the product image, that gets pulled into the AI and it's another trust signal that you can build into the process. Only saw one brand do that, so go ahead and get ahead before your competitors do. So yeah, trustworthy reviews, having third-party validation on that product image can really go far for you. So if you hear nothing else, here are these takeaways on how brands need to prepare in these 3 ways. You need to have AI-ready product pages, not just built for the human, but also built for the robot. That sounds so weird to say, but you need to make sure that you have the technical aspect covered where you're listed with Google. You have your website easily read by AI. So I know that AI sometimes has an issue reading JavaScript. So you want to look at the technical aspect to make sure that your product information can be read by AI. But then also you want to make sure your product pages include those key phrases your customers are using when they ask about your solution. So now I'm seeing, instead of having one word SEO keyword, you now have 6-word key phrases that your customers are going to use to ask about your solutions or the pain point that you solve. And that helps the algorithm know to serve up your content, your brand, when your customer is asking on the AI platform. So that's all I'm going to say about how to get ready for AI, because I think the next two are even more important. Regardless of if you show up in AI or not, we know the most important way for discovery is through word of mouth. So how can your brand really support community building and foster those opportunities for organic word of mouth and recommendations? I think that should be your number one priority. And then also consider top of funnel channel strategy as an ecosystem. So people aren't just starting with social, then moving to the web in a linear fashion anymore. All of those touch points in that top of funnel need to support each other for you to get the most bang for your buck. So really treat that as an ecosystem as each channel builds on the others. When shoppers use AI to discover new brands or compare products, audience insight becomes even more valuable because what people are saying and doing directly impacts how your business shows up in these AI tools. That's why in this next video, I break down how to connect audience intelligence and qualitative research to measurable business outcomes so you can justify that research spend with clear ROI. You can watch the video right here.